So, chapter 1090 opens up with Luffy straight up talking to the Gorosei. I think this is like the first time that's happened, right?
Yeah, it's his first time talking to them. I wonder if he even knows who they are. Like, do you think that's a thing, or do you think he's
Yeah.
like, man, I'm talking to the Navy right now?
Yeah, that's the thing is that I wonder if he even does. I mean, I'm sure it's had to come across his attention that the Gorosei is a thing, but yeah, he probably doesn't even realize who he's talking
Yeah,
to.
yeah. They don't really have good education in Fuchsia Village.
No, not even on the Straw Hat boat apparently. Just the way that they communicate with
Yeah,
each
they
other.
just live life day to day. They're not too worried about politics.
But we see Saturn also listening to this call. And it makes you wonder, and I'm sure you've talked about this before, like, does this mean that Saturn will face off against Luffy in this arc? Because I'm sure you've also seen, I forget which cover page for a chapter it was. It was like the color cover page, and it was Luffy and the Straw Hats, and they were like playing football against this bison thing, man.
Yeah.
Anthropomorphic
People
guy.
have been comparing the silhouette of Saturn to the bison. Actually, if you go through a bunch of color spreads and cover pages, I'm sure you'll find other wacky animals that kind of resemble the Gorosei. And we do know Oda likes to pull in designs from outside of One Piece, like SBS's, cover pages, color spreads, and he will make them canon eventually, or at least some of them he has. So it's like this could be one of those scenarios, but either way, I do think that Luffy will run the smoke up against at least a couple of the Gorosei members, because when Luffy says that he's going to be king of the pirates, it's not just a declaration of him becoming the king. It's also saying, hey, I'm also going to beat you guys down. Because he last said this to Kaido. Boom, what happened to him? He said this to Big Mom back on Fishman Island, and boom, what happened to her? Like, this is like a death sentence, actually. It's like a Karth assault. They just started the countdown on that timer.
Yeah, it's not just a declaration, it's a promise.
Yeah.
It's also a spoiler because it's like for sure happening.
Yeah, it's a spoiler. Come on, Luffy, what are you doing?
Yeah, just like
I love that.
Zoro saying he'll never lose again after getting beat by Mihawk. He's never lost again, so I guess he won't. Freaking
Well,
spoiler.
technically he lost. I'd say he lost to like Kizaru back in Sabaody. I consider that an L. It's like I mean, he got away, so I guess maybe it's not an L, but
No contest.
technically he lost that fight. Yeah, no contest. It was unfair.
But speaking of Kizaru, if Luffy winds up fighting Saturn here, and Saturn does have like a mythical bison devil fruit or whatever, Kizaru, who would his opponent be? Because you would assume that it would have been Luffy, especially what happens at the end of this chapter, but does that mean that Kizaru might fight Zoro? And that's like the rematch there from Sabaody?
So, oddly enough, I don't want to jump ahead too far since we're kind of going in order here, but I feel like Luffy might fight both of them. Not at the same time. I don't think it's going to be like a 2v1 spit roast situation, but I think he's going to take them on one at a time. Kizaru first, and then maybe once Luffy beats Kizaru, like high diff, extreme diff, whatever you want to call it, then Saturn's going to pop up, and it's like, oh my gosh, we have another very strong opponent on the horizon. And then that's when, everybody's going to have to kick it into high gear. It's rough because I heard another theory that I really liked, but this is because of my own headcanon and agenda. But I heard a comment saying that Rob Lucci will fight Kizaru, which sounds ridiculous, but if you go to where Rob Lucci's name comes from, it actually means robbing the light. So it's like, hey, maybe he does, try to fight Kizaru, which wouldn't make sense considering, of course, he's leaking intel to them. But like I said, it's just like one of my fanfics that I keep in my back pocket.
I think that would be amazing. I mean, I would have had more faith in it before this chapter because it seems like Lucci, is still trying to play ball with the world government. At least.
Yeah, he's going the opposite direction.
Yeah, like he had his slight face turn in alliance with the Straw Hats, and that was nice just to see them work together for a little bit. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be permanent since we see him like communicating to Saturn, essentially letting him know what's going on inside. And I guess that brings me to the next juicy point here, and it's of three possible contenders, because we've seen that Lucci is acting weird, but not like out of character, like also him looking at Stussy and her telling him to stop it and whatnot. I guess like Stussy, she's still going to be with Vegapunk. So he's like, yeah, you're a traitor. I'm not a traitor anymore, but you're still a traitor because you haven't turned back the way that I have. But aside from him, we also have Robin. who is back in this chapter. And
Yep.
is she acting uncharacteristic? Because when Luffy is talking to the Gorosei, they're asking him questions about like how many people are there or how many are injured. And he's about to say the number, and then Robin comes in and says, hey, don't tell them anything. And then the Gorosei notices that was Robin's voice. Now, immediately I think, oh, that's just a device to have them hear that Robin is there, because obviously they still want Robin. It's like, okay, now the Gorosei knows that Robin's there, but also it could be out of character for Robin to even do that in the first place.
Yeah, I actually thought it was Nami who did it at first, and then when they said, yo, like, is that Nico Robin's voice? And it's like, oh, I guess Robin did yell at Luffy for a second. But I guess it kind of makes sense, like, hey, like, don't give away the information. But as far as being uncharacteristic, I think I would say that she's acting in character, because what hits me next is on the next page they talk a little bit about Ohara, because York threatens them saying, hey, we're gonna char this island down, and then Robin has like a pained smile, so it's like, okay, no, this is Robin. Were you on board with the Kizaru and Devon theory that she infiltrated the group?
Yeah, so that's what I was coming to. I was picking off of the candidates that we had. So we saw before we left Egghead before that there was a Blackbeard pirate ship headed to Egghead. And considering that Blackbeard was with Law, maybe it's not him, since he was kind of dealing with that stuff. And we also saw where the other Blackbeard pirates were back on Hachinosu dealing with the Garp stuff. So the only other members that I don't think we saw was Kizaru and Devon and Lafitte, right? Was that it?
Yep, only those two.
So it means, or it could mean, that they were on the ship headed to Egghead. And if it is, then that means that Kizaru and Devon has likely infiltrated this group in some way. And considering we were just talking about some characters acting somewhat weird or maybe out of character in this chapter, there's 3 of them. And we talked about 2 of them with Lucci and Robin. But the last one, and I guess this is the one that seems most likely, is Bonnie. Because we
Bonnie.
Yeah, we see Luffy talking to Bonnie as they're all running towards the end of this chapter, and they're talking about food, because they're saying, once they leave the island they won't be able to get the food there anymore. And she's like, let's bring some more pizzas, and Luffy's like, no, don't worry, Sanji can make us more. And suddenly she gets all happy and she's like, I see, what a great man, skilled at cooking and at the same time so strong in battle. And Luffy's like, hey, why did you get in a good mood all of a sudden? So weird. She says, I'll admit I feel better now that I gave up on killing Vegapunk. So is this Kizaru and Devon for some reason? And then, I don't know, Bonnie's still in that memory room with the bubble or whatever? Or she's telling the truth?
Man. It's such a weird... I think she's telling the truth. I'm going to err on that side, simply because Luffy says, good, we won't be annoyed by your crying anymore like last night. Implying that, they went through the memories, they're distraught, they were crying. So it sounds like Bonnie did leave that room, or either that, or Kizaru and Devon is great at fake crying. But it's so strange, because like this page, right, where they're talking about the food and leaving and Bonnie being in a weird mood and hyping up Sanji. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Sanji, but it's so strange whenever somebody gasses up another character, to our faces, right? Like imagine, like, you could throw anybody's name in here, like Zoro. Like, oh wow, he's a great swordsman, right? He's really strong. You throw in Chopper, oh, he's a great doctor. This guy's been doctoring. It's like, okay, that's nice and all, but like, why did this get a page, right? Like, why did this get panel time? Like, is something here? Is there something we're missing? But like I said, I don't think this is Kizaru and Devon yet. And the main reason why is because when you think about the Blackbeard pirate ship, to get on Egghead Island, 1, the dome was up. So Kizaru and Devon has to somehow bypass the dome security. And then 2, they have to get past the sea beasts and pacifistas. And to Sentomaru's knowledge, nobody ran up to the island. So I'm actually going to throw you a crazy third option. I'm going to say that maybe the Blackbeard pirates, Kizaru and Devon, she's going to infiltrate on the marine side. I think that's what she's going to do.
Oh.
Yeah, because, so if you go back to last chapter, Saint Saturn said, hey, we're going to sink that researcher ship, right? The one that departed back in chapter 1079. And the thing is, that researcher ship departed right when the Blackbeard ship was about to arrive. So my theory is that maybe the Blackbeard ship was actually only there to attack the researchers. And once a marine ship goes to destroy that, Kizaru and Devon and Lafitte are going to beat them, and then sail back to Saturn and Doberman here and act like one of them to maybe get intel, maybe to get close to Saturn. I feel like we're going to see a Katarina Devon on the Marine side rather than the Straw Hat side. It's going to be one of those things that catches you off guard, right? The Straw Hats had to find the imposter. They already played that game, right? Among Us solved. It's the Marines' time to play that game now.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That would solve the problem of them trying to get inside. And then also, yeah, it gives the dichotomy of, yeah, the Straw Hats already had to deal with it on the Egghead side, but now on the Marine side, they'll have to do it as well. Yeah, I like that. But right now, there's just too many possibilities of who she actually could have became. Also, I forgot to mention, in case anybody's confused, Katarina Devon can become other people because of her devil fruit ability. She has the nine-tailed fox.
Mythical nine-tailed fox.
Yeah, it has the ability to just like become anyone.
Yeah, she could even be Naruto.
Yeah.
Just pops out. Kurama.
Surprised that Oda hasn't done that on like a cover page or something.
That would be
like
pretty good.
Easter egg.
We got Kizaru and the Seraphim and Cypherpole agents.
Oh yeah, all right. So Kizaru winds up making it onto Egghead as per Saturn's request, since he says that, you know, they need to protect 3 things here. York, who is able to make the Mother Flame and I guess maintain the Seraphims. So they've agreed to keep her alive and also make her a celestial dragon, which I think will happen. Punk Records, which is like the internet pretty much, and the power plant needed to produce the Mother Flame. So I think that kind of confirms that the Mother Flame is the power source that fuels Uranus. What do you think about that?
I totally agree. I see the Mother Flame the same as nuclear energy. I think it's pretty much the same through and through. But as far as like them protecting all 3 of those things, do you think they're going to get all 3? Do you think they're going to walk away with the W?
Man, that's a good question in itself. I don't think they'll get Punk Records.
Okay. You think somebody else is going to get that?
I think the Straw Hats will. I don't know. They'll figure out some way to get that, because it would just, I'm not really sure. Maybe they do get all 3, because the odds might. The odds are really against the Straw Hats at this point. Like, they have to like evacuate. Like, they have to leave.
So in this chapter, they even said that, you know, they're okay with giving up York, right? As long as they get out of here. So boom, that's already a W for the Marines. As far as Punk Records go, like, you can't really bring like a giant building with you, so I don't think that's coming with them either. And then as far as the Mother Flame, like, Vegapunk hasn't really said anything about it. He was like, oh, that's what it's about, all right, cool, we're gonna dip, right? So I feel like the Marines are poised to win as far as what they want. You know, as long as their goal isn't to take down Straw Hat Luffy, I think they're gonna succeed.
Yeah, that makes sense too. If they're not directly talking about Luffy, then they might very likely succeed in what they're doing. Yeah, I think they have to at least get 2 out of 3, so might as well just give them 3 out of 3.
Yeah, I mean, they're already losing like what, the Sea Beasts and the Pacifistas now that they're going to war with them, which is something we don't see this chapter, right? Because Kizaru clashes with Sentomaru, and then Sentomaru says, hey, all Pacifista units, obliterate all the enemies. So while this is all going down on the island, outside the coast, we got like the 9 vice admirals fighting, you know, the sea beasts and the pacifistas. So it's just going to be like a net loss for the world government. So they kind of have to walk away with something.
I'm leaving here with something. Yeah, they definitely are. I wonder if this is when we see Saturn come out and he just solos all of them. Because I was wondering, like, if you're so powerful, why don't you just go out there and just destroy all of these things?
Yeah, get us to the good ending, yeah?
But yeah, like going back to Kizaru getting onto the island and then clashing with Sentomaru, are you surprised by Sentomaru's defense here?
I am and I'm not. I'm surprised that he can block this, considering that he got blitzed by Lucci. You know, like, imagine that, right? You can stop an attack from a guy who can travel at the speed of light, but you can't block an attack from a leopard. Awakened leopard, to be fair. You know, like I said, I love Lucci, so my agenda is like pretty sky high. But I do think that this is just, you know, sentimental, right? Kizaru and Sentomaru, they have that relationship. Last chapter, we saw like a little panel of them hanging out back when they were kids. I just think it's one of those things where like neither one of them wants to beat the other person. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kizaru was holding back. I wouldn't be surprised if Sentomaru, you know, had the emotional boost that characters usually get in shonen, right? You got like memories of your childhood coming in and boom, maybe I do got the toughest defense in the world. You know, like it's ×2 or something. So yeah, it surprised me, but I like it though. I think the thematics of this fight are amazing, and it really does make me wonder if either one of them can go all out and, you know, beat the other person. Like even Kizaru, right? Kizaru could totally beat Sentomaru, but will he? Or will he just go up to the Labo phase and deal with the Straw Hats, since he's really the main problem?
Yeah, I do like that, because it also, I guess, is supposed to parallel to what was going on with Garp and Kuzan, right? Like another admiral, marine past relationship going on. And it also makes you wonder, like, are we going to get that with Akainu too? But that's a story for another time. I have another video planned that I wanted to do with you. It's about Akainu.
Oh man, that's my favorite character.
Yeah.
There we go. We're hitting the holy trinity of favorites here for me.
Akainu, Lucci, and
I put Kizaru up there.
okay.
I put Kizaru up there.
Yeah, that's solid.
Got some good characters. They're all Marines and world government. I don't think I have any like favorite pirates.
No,
Pirates
no,
are
you
like
don't.
bad.
You are a marine
bad
guy.
people. Yeah. Luffy, if you're listening to this video, you need to be stopped. Turn yourself in.
Yeah.
Just do us all a favor.
Yeah, we're not supposed to know about the Void Century.
Yeah, come on. It's against the law, Luffy. Didn't you read?